And welcome back to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Yana Shanaeus. This is our preview episode of Aston Villa versus Fulham at Villa Park. It's on Sunday. It's a huge match. Every match is a huge match right now. It's been a few weeks. Giannis, how are you doing? And are you looking forward to a preview and the upcoming match?
Hey, Ross. International break was entertaining. A lot of goals going on. Mitro scoring goals for fun. And got to witness Canada score 11 in the World Cup qualifying here, which was really actually as bad as it sounds. But looking forward to the Premier League, and it's going to be an interesting weekend. Villa's going to be a really good chance for us to exact some revenge from what was a horror show when we played them down at the Cottage earlier this year.
Oh, it was terrible, Giannis. It was awful. And it's funny because I was looking back at the team that played in that match compared to the team now, and it's really night and day. And, it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast this morning, a Villa podcast, one that I actually enjoy. And it's interesting about it because obviously it's Villa-centric, and they're going to predict a Villa victory. But I just had this underlying feeling that the two hosts of the show really haven't watched Fulham. And because I think they understand that this is not the same team, but it's a completely different team. And we'll see how things go this week with this match. But to get us going, Giannis, and I was actually pretty vocal on the last episode, and you actually commented on it. So I thought this is where we could start as we look forward to this upcoming match. We're going to talk about the last match because I was very disappointed. And I'm going to explain again why, and I want to talk a little bit about it because it goes to the theme of the rest of the season. And I actually want Fulham to prove me wrong because in the last episode, I said that Fulham were going to be relegated and not Aston Villa, but the Leeds match was going to be the one that we're going to look back at. And the reason why I went there, Giannis, is because I looked at Leeds United and thinking, okay, this is a team that they really should be beating at home. I know there are no fans there, but it's a team that I felt strongly about, that this is a team that they need to beat. It was one of the four matches that I thought, okay, I'm penciling in, they have to win this. And it also goes to the theme of the rest of the season. They're going to be playing against teams that press them, and they struggle against it. And I'm thinking, okay, they have to figure this out. So for me, the fact that they haven't, this is the reason why I came out so strongly. I haven't changed my mind on it, but I am happy to be proven wrong on this, Giannis. I want Fulham to prove me wrong. I want Scott Park and the players to prove me wrong, to beat teams like Southampton, to beat teams like Burnley that are going to make it difficult on them, not let them play. Aston Villa might be a little bit different, but that's why I came out so strongly. I know you watched the show. What are your thoughts about what I'm sharing now and what I said back then?
I understand. I understand your angst after the Leeds game. It was disappointing, and we let in a soft goal. We managed to come back into the game, but Leeds United, it didn't seem as though we'd learnt too many lessons because they're the only team in the division that will do what they do in terms of that high press, and that extreme high press, extreme athleticism, never giving you any time or any space to do anything, and that's something that we're not used to, and something that obviously we're not comfortable with, and. You can have bad games like that. I mean, because I thought, well, our next game's Villa. We're unbeaten away from home, eight games. And, they talk about timing of international break. And managers will often say, well, international break's going to be a little bit of a problem. But I thought that it came at the right time. It gave Scotty the chance to work with the players back home. To work on some technical stuff. It got the internationals out of the door to reinvigorate and refresh their mind. And if you look at all the players and their accounts of what the international break has been like, they've all really had successes, which is great.
Yep.
So I think the time was fine, and I think there's just going to be too many twists and turns. Now the focus has to be to see if we can get 3 points up at Villa Park, and I don't see any reason why we can't. And this is a different lineup that played Villa at the Cottage earlier this season.
Completely different.
Yeah, and I really do like our chances, and that's And part of it actually is the Grealish factor.
Well, I want to talk about that because when we get to our preview, I'm going to ask you the question: is it a bad thing or a good thing that Grealish is playing? Because I thought about this. And again, your first blush is, well, it's a bad thing that he's playing, but is it really? And we'll talk about that because I'm curious your view on Grealish playing. Could that actually help Fulham? I know that sounds strange to say, but I definitely want your thoughts on it. But as we're talking about this and talking about Villa, and Villa is different than the other teams I was talking about, but I can't get off of that Leeds United match. So I'm going to ask you, why do you think Fulham struggle against teams that press them? Why?
I think it's because it takes them away from their comfort level. They want to have lots of touches on the ball. They want to be able to work their way through the zones 1, 2, 3, 4, but they want to do it in their own time. And then all of a sudden, if you are a team that likes to press, whether it's low, moderate, or high, you're giving players a lot less time on the ball. And you could see that against Leeds. We were in a lot of trouble because we just didn't seem to have a lot of time on the ball. And notwithstanding the fact that the Cottage is a small pitch. Right. And it's a sort of pitch where that can work and you can have a lot of fun with it. It's something that you've got to be quick of speed but quick of thought. And against Leeds, and I think that's part of a lot of the frustration of fans, was that we knew what they were going to do.
Exactly. That's my frustration. We knew what they were going to do. And they didn't have a counter for that. They didn't have a counter because, again, with all of that pressing, there has to be open space, Giannis. Why could they not figure that out?
That's a great point. And I know it's because you can plan and plan. But once the whistle's blown, you're there. And Leeds did what Leeds do well and very well. They made life misery really for us. I mean, as soon as we got the ball, they were like packs of hounds. And with Bielsa barking as he was on the sidelines, he made life very, very difficult for us. We couldn't settle into any pattern at all. But that's the only team we're going to play for the rest of the season.
To that level,
of that ilk, yeah. And that's what I look at the rest of the season, and with the players that we've got coming back and the relative form, I think it's a good matchup with Villa, okay. And it's. We've got a point to prove because that one of the very low points of our season, I think, with us was that home defeat to Villa. I think we were poor, and it'd be lovely to get revenge. What perfect timing, chance of getting out of the bottom three this weekend.
Absolutely, Giannis. And again, just talking about this, and I know that you said that no one's going to be doing the high press, but we also struggle against Southampton. I would even say Burnley, teams that will not give us the space that we normally get. So what is the solution? What does Scott need to do to get into the players? Is it on the players? Is it on Scott? Is it a little bit of both? What is the solution to that issue of dealing with the press?
I think Burnley is slightly different. I mean, the thing about that Burnley do press, but they're just an incredibly hardworking team.
Yep.
And they what I really do like about their team and their setup is how disciplined they are, and they all seem to have a role. I mean, you've got an England goalkeeper in there in Pope, but you've got someone like as young as Dwight McNeil, who is part of the England and under-21 setup, who has the skill and temperament and the setup to go high places, but plays with the discipline and the work rate to buy into the system, for the betterment of the team, and that's a lot of that is to do with the coach. So it involves now a lot of preparation. The one good thing for us now is that we don't have any international breaks for the end of the season. Every game is going to be a cup final. I don't believe that we've come back with any injuries from the international break.
No, Scotty said we're fine there.
We're pretty fine. So now the decisions that Scott has to make now is what are we going to do in terms of putting together a lineup for each specific game.
Yep.
Where you say, okay, can we win? Can we win this game with the lineup I can put out? And I think the problem that he's going to have is with Mitro's, ridiculous international break.
Yep.
That he's going to have to find a way if he can, to get him back in the lineup, and what's that going to look like? I know that Fulham fans are clamouring for him. I mean, is it going to work? I would like to think so, but it's what do we know, Russ?
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. That's going to lead me to talk a little bit about Mitro, because Mitro is doing so well, Giannis. He did so well during the international break. So we're going to look at this two ways. But before we do that, because I want to start with the pros of starting Mitro, okay? And then we'll talk about the cons. But I did a poll. I had a good amount of votes. I'm looking at it right now. 418 votes. That's a good amount of votes. Here was my poll question on the Cottage Talk Twitter page. Should Mitro start against Aston Villa? So now I posed this three different ways. No, yes, but with Maja. Yes, but by himself up front. Yes, but with Maja, being the two of them, 60%. By himself, 36%. No was at 4%. So let's start just your thoughts on the poll, because it's obvious that the Fulham supporters want Mitro to start, whether it's with him by himself. In the case of the poll, with Maja. More people are thinking with Maja. So what are your thoughts about the poll?
This is going to be a very tough call for Russ. For Russ. Now I'm doing a Russ.
You just did a Goldman. There you go.
This is going to be a very tough call for Scotty, and I had the benefit of watching the three games here, and I was particularly impressed with his performance off the bench against Republic of Ireland.
Yep.
I mean, I really think that somebody we've missed for the last couple of games that nobody's talked about is
I know who you're going to say.
Yeah, and congratulations to him. His partner gave birth to a baby boy yesterday.
Yep.
But he's now available for selection, and so I was thinking about this last night and wondering, is there scope maybe to start with a top two of Mitro and Decordova-Reid?
Possibly.
I feel that Maja will be the odd one out tomorrow.
Okay.
I do. I think that Maja's not done anything wrong. I mean, he scored 2 against Everton.
But doesn't he fit kind of how Scotty wants to play? Because again, we'll talk about the cons, but the pros are, and again, curious your view on, obviously Mitro's on fire right now, scoring the goals. And I do understand where you're going with Bobby Decordova-Reid, because I've seen a lot of people mention that we probably have missed him. I'll also say we probably have missed Tom Kearney as well. But for you, what are the pros of starting him? Obviously the goals, and taking advantage of what's going on, but what are your thoughts? Are there any other pros to starting Mitro against Aston Villa?
I think it would be an emotional. It's an emotional decision, but for me, he's on an absolute high. He's just become Serbia's highest ever national goal scorer.
So you're feeding off of that.
You're feeding off that incredible energy and the cloud nine thing. Now, you have to contextualize it as well. I mean, he's done incredible things for Serbia. Let's not forget Serbia was part of Yugoslavia for many, many years post World War One. So, Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, North Macedonia, what a result that was against Germany, Kosovo. These are nations that did not exist before World War One.
Right.
And World War Two, they became part of Yugoslavia. So, it's that Serbian pride piece. So right now he could walk on water. It doesn't matter what happens. And I think Scotty likes to talk about players being brave, and I think he's brilliant at doing that. But I think this is one where he's going to, when he sits down with the coaches tonight and tomorrow.
This is a huge decision, by the way. I think
it is a huge
deciding
decision.
on if he starts, I think, is massive. And we're going to learn a lot when that lineup comes up an hour before. But go on there, Giannis.
I think he has to be brave in his decision making in terms of, I mean, if you said to me, asked me what would I do, I would pick Mitro, not because to me he did little against Leeds, but he's gone away and he's gone bananas, and for that reason, you could tell with the interviews, his reactions to the goals, the interviews after the games. He is ebullient. He's on top of
Yep.
the game, on top of the world. He couldn't be happier. And you have to have a happy Mitro for whatever
No, I
reason.
agree with all that.
So then we'll put him out there, stick him out
Oh.
there, and stick him out there for an hour, and then you could put Josh Madger out there and see if he can go and kick lumps out of Tyrone Mings, which I would actually enjoy. But I don't, and Dacre Reed, I think we've missed because he's arguably the hardest working player we've got. His ability.
In many ways, Giannis, I know they're different players. They're extremely different players, but it's a player that you can use in several different ways. Berdinho, it's someone like Chris Baird who you don't realize what he offers because he can play so many different positions. And, like I said, with Bobby Decordova-Reid, it's the work rate. It's the commitment. That's, to me, the comparison with someone like Berdinho, who just gave you everything that you wanted and just did everything for the team. He's a team player. And Bobby Decordova-Reid is the exact same way, and that's why I understand why you're mentioning that. But before we move on from Mitro, let's talk about the cons of starting Mitro. And there are two that stand out to me, and I want to get your thoughts on. One is I don't know if he really fits how we like to play, Giannis, how Scott Parker wants to play, because I think he is not as quick in the way Fulham really wants to play. I think he wants a quick striker up there like a Maja, and that's not Mitro. Mitro's a different type of striker. The other thing, and this to me, again, if he starts, they have to find ways to get him involved, and that involves the crossing, the service. He has been starving. We had Gordon Davis on a while ago, and he was talking about living off of scraps. He can't live off of scraps. Giannis, this is, to me, goes in the con category because the service for Mitro has been horrific for anyone in there. But I also think it does involve the style of play. So what are your thoughts about the cons of starting Mitro? Because, again, I understand the pros, but there are cons to this as well.
Yeah, and that's another one that keeps me up at night because if you look at someone like Anthony Robinson, I think Anthony Robinson, overall has had a very good first year in the Premier League.
But his crossing is just
zero. I mean, so the question then, one of the questions is going to be, how do you look at that fullback situation?
Exactly.
You have to keep an eye on McGinn because McGinn is, I think, in many ways the backbone of Villa. Well, he has been since Grealish has been away. Do you play with Aina and Tati and just say, look, just get crosses in and cause absolute bloody mayhem? I mean,
exactly.
I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't. But again, Scott is going to have to be brave. He talks about the bravery of players. He's going to have to be brave.
Exactly. That's a great point. He has to be brave too.
He has to be brave, and he's going to have to look at this and say, okay, I've got to do something a little different here because we desperately need a result. So I'm curious as to how this is going to play. I'm convinced Madger doesn't start tomorrow, though. I don't believe he does.
Okay.
Because I'm sure he's had a good international break, but I think we need to be a little bit more expansive. And we need to also play off confidence. The other thing I'm really going to be curious to see how Loftus-Cheek has reacted to the 2 weeks off. He didn't cover himself in glory in the Leeds game. But the quality's there.
It's there, and could it be beneficial to Mitro having him in there? Because, again, they experimented with Anguissa in a more advanced role, Giannis, and against Leeds. It just didn't work.
No, it didn't. And I keep waiting for Loftus-Cheek. I mean, it's so frustrating because you can see the just the body strength. He can read a game. He's got all the athletic prowess. Yep. You could see it. You could see the qualities there. But for whatever reason, it's just not worked. But maybe 8 games to go, he's going to finally show us the real Loftus-Cheek.
Right. And I'm just sharing a couple comments here. We got from Steve Reynolds. Need service to them both. He's talking about the possibility of playing Maja with Mitro. Crosses have been a problem all season, and that's true. And this goes to Steve Lydiard, one of our co-hosts, Madra playing off the shoulder of Mitro could be deadly. What are your thoughts about that?
Yep, that can work. I mean, that's one of the permutations that Scotty's had 2 weeks to prepare for. I'm not sure, the novelty of Madra was the 2 goals against Everton. He has worked hard, but do we trust that he can nick one out of nothing to make a difference in the game? Mitro
Yep.
can, and Decordova-Reid has scored goals. And don't forget, talking about highs,
Yep.
this guy has become a dad for the first time. So when you're firstborn, you never forget, because you're like that. Yeah. So he's going to be.
We know that, my friend.
Yeah. So he's going to be. He's walking on water. So you got players out there that are just going to be like confident and pumped and ready to rock. Yep. And that's why I don't think Decordova-Reid is a bad shot to play.
Okay, Giannis. All right. Good stuff. All right. Before we do our preview, get really into it and really want to talk about it. You and I were talking about something off air that I want to talk about that I've been thinking about a great deal. And it involves the Riverside stand. And what's interesting about this is we've all seen the pictures. We're all starting to get excited. And, it got me to think about situations here when a new stadium is built and what ends up happening once you hear the ticket prices. So I want to get your thoughts on this because, again, as we see the pictures and as it gets closer, I've not heard any news on ticket pricing. And so I thought we should start the conversation. Hopefully we'll start to get news as we get closer to the end of the season about the ticket prices for the new Riverside stand. But the question is, what will the prices be for seats in the new Riverside stand? I know it also involves what division we're going to be in. But when you build something new, I just have a feeling that the ticket prices are going to be fairly high. My question is, will the Cons mix it with some more affordable pricing? But I'm concerned for the Fulham supporters because I have no idea what the price is going to be, honest. I just know when you build something new, you should be, in the back of my mind, expecting the prices to be fairly high.
If the pandemic has uncovered many inequalities, and to me, I think you're going to hit a watershed moment in terms of lower league football and also non-league football, because families are going to be priced out of upper level football.
Yes,
and that's the thing that's always worried me. A game of football is a game of football. You love your Fulham and but there's also the money. A lot of people lost their jobs. Many people have become very sick, and we're now going over here. They just announced a lockdown here for the third wave, and things are really, really grim over here right now. It's very, very tough. When the stand comes out, the Cons have got a very interesting situation here, and they really and it's one of those. We can talk about all the beams and all the seats and all the views and the Thames and but that there's an elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is going to be the cost.
Exactly.
And the Cons are going to want some. They're going to want to get some clawback on their investment. A lot is going to depend on if we stay in this division this year. If we stay, I'm going to throw a figure, and I'll be prepared to be yelled at. I'd like to think that if you could have reasonably priced seats, taking into account the concession stands and the setup of that whole stand and all the extra money that they can make, I would be looking at a bench level of something like, I'm going to throw £40 out. I'm going to throw £40 out, 40 quid.
Yep.
I have a bad feeling it won't be that. I think it'll be higher.
Yeah,
I'd like to see 40.
I think so. I think you're right.
But you might be looking 50, 60. Now, Chelsea is the most expensive ground in the UK. This is going to be a nicer stadium than Stamford Bridge. But if I'm taking my family to watch Fulham play, I'm taking my family to watch Fulham play. And I don't want to be priced out of the market. I don't. I want to go and watch my team play.
Exactly.
And, so I am. I think It does worry me, Russ, because when the prices get released, there's going to be a lot of pushback.
Oh,
and this is, as I said, this is the calm before the storm.
this is the elephant in the room that we haven't really talked about. But again, as we get closer, I just started thinking about there's been no talk on this. And as someone that actually lived through it over here, and when the prices came out, like you said, the reaction was what you would expect the reaction to be. And you just brought up some other points, Giannis. With Fulham, with the pandemic, it's a difficult decision of how to price this out and obviously what division we're going to be in. But it's going to be interesting how they're going to figure this out. And will they tier it? Will there be certain costs for, say, the higher you go up? Will they tier it? And again, there's going to be some interesting things that they have to figure out. But I just wanted to start the conversation because it's something I've been thinking about. And again, I don't live in London. I don't have access to going to the matches. I wish I did, but I think about the Fulham fans and I'm thinking about, I hope it's going to be affordable enough that they can sit in this brand new stand that we're going to have that's going to be beautiful. I hope that they're not priced out. That's been my concern.
I think that's a great point, and I am worried about that because I almost think that the Khans might be compelled in light of what has been happening here, and obviously with the vaccinations and everything else that's going on, and the impact it's had on the British economy, the impact it's had on travel, just livelihood, just the whole gamut. I think it's almost incumbent on the Khans for the first year or two of the opening of the stand to offer, as you suggested, the tiered approach to pricing. Yeah. But I also think it would be really nice if the ownership can almost establish a price floor as opposed to a price ceiling. So I think that, if they could subsidize, I'm thinking subsidizing. I really think I think the act of faith can often involve subsidizing seats, much like you see around Europe where, health authorities, nurses, doctors, teachers have been subsidized to go and watch football. And I'd like to see extreme subsidies for kids.
Yeah.
I think that I'd like to see extreme subsidies. Actually, if call me crazy, but if it was down to me, I wouldn't charge old age pensioners to come into football grounds. I think they've served their time. I think they've been taxpayers for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. They followed their Fulham all those years. Right. And, they're on fixed incomes. And so how about what better way to give back to those old people that have followed their
well, see, this is a great idea, and I hope, and again, maybe the powers that be are watching this, and that's why another one of the reasons why I wanted to have a conversation, start the conversation rolling about this, is that I think that there are factors that the Khans should take into consideration. You're Absolutely. Talking about it, and like you said, the older fans, think about them. Think about the younger fans too. Families. There are a lot of things to take into consideration, and it's going to be a wonderful stand that's going to help Fulham for generations to come. And there's potentially a win-win here, like I said, for Fulham maybe in the first couple of seasons with the Riverside stand to look at it in a way to maybe tier it where you can have some affordable tickets for some fans, and then you could still have high-priced tickets for other fans. But if you tier it in a way that it lets all fans have a chance to sit in the Riverside stand, I think that would be great. And again, that's one of the reasons why I just wanted to start the dialogue about this, because at some point we're going to get ticket pricing, and I think we need to start the conversation now. Anyways, coming up next, Giannis and I are going to preview this upcoming huge match for Fulham against Aston Villa. Okay, my friend, let's get to it. Let's just start with your opening thoughts on Aston Villa this season. And, it's interesting because we'll talk about Jack Grealish coming up next, but I want to get your overall thoughts on Villa. I'll just share this with you. they survived last season. And because if I'm looking at Fulham, that's all I want Fulham to do. I actually, believe it or not, it's funny. We had this thing last season, Villa are doing a Fulham. Well, I actually want Fulham to do a Villa. I know that's going to sound strange to say, Giannis. I want them to survive this season, and I want them to do what Villa have done this season, build on this. I have to give Aston Villa a lot of credit. They had a foundation, and they built up that foundation from just staying in the league. We just want Fulham to stay in the league. I've actually been impressed with what they've done, but it's interesting looking at them because they are a different side without Grealish. He now returns. What are your overall thoughts on Villa?
They played well, but I'm going to get stick for this if there's any Villa supporters watching. So they shouldn't even be in the division.
Okay.
Last year in the Hawkeye with Sheffield United was the point that got turned over.
Yep.
That meant that Bournemouth went down and Villa stayed up. Bournemouth had lost an Eddie Howe who done incredible things for them. The Cherries are, they're nice. They're a nice club, small club, well run. And just sort of the irony of that, talking of which, is that the VAR will be in the championship next year. That was announced yesterday.
Oh.
Which is So if we go down something else to look forward to. They've done well. I mean, they've got their stud. They've got their stud in Grealish, and Grealish.
Yep. I'm
not going to criticize. He's wonderful to watch. You've had the emergence of Mings. Mings has had a good season. I think Matty Target, who we love, has played well. Matty Cash, a couple of injuries, played well. John McGinn, I think, has been an absolute revelation from this year.
You mentioned him already. Yep.
Yeah. They picked up Ollie Watkins from the Brentford, and Jesus, he got a call up for England. Fair cop, scored a goal.
Yep.
Right. Mind you, it was against Manserino, but there you go. They've got a lot of ability there. I mean, you sort of have a rough idea what their lineup is, and they've got one of the very best goalkeepers in the division, Martin.
Yep.
So Dean Smith's done a good job there. I've got no complaints about what he's.
Yeah, he has.
Of course, we always have that memory of the Tom Kearney goal at Wembley, and the memory of John Terry looking mopey and zopey at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. But they've done well. Mid-table.
They have done well.
Yeah. But as we found out this year, Sheffield United under Chris Wilder did tremendous stuff last year, and then this year they just couldn't get going. And sometimes they look pretty good now, but come the fall, anything can go south in a hurry. It's going to be a difficult game, but I'm buoyed by the fact that we're so good away from home. We seem to be very comfortable. Villa Park is a bigger pitch.
I think that benefits Fulham
big time, and they're not really a press side.
No, they're not.
The first time we played them, it was shocking.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, Giannis, because I know that we're going to get a lot of Villa supporters that are probably going to watch this and curious our views on this. And I will tell my friends, and I have friends that support Aston Villa, you kind of have to throw that first matchup out because we're definitely not the same team at all from that team. So I don't know how much you can learn from that. If you're going to judge that match, because we were shocking then, but look at the team now. It's so different. And I was actually watching a Villa podcast right before we came on here. And, to their credit, I think it was the Villa View. They were talking about how Fulham don't give up many goals now because, again, if you look at those 3 goals, there might be some Villa supporters who haven't been following Fulham that think that, they should be able to score 3 or 4 against Fulham. This is not the same Fulham team they played at the beginning of the season.
Well, my response about that is if you're the supporter of any Premier League team, and you think you're going to go out and knock in 4 against a Premier League team, you need to stick your head in a toilet. Because there are no, we've seen, Southampton lose 9-0 again this year, but the games are very, very competitive. I wouldn't ever dare turn around and say, "Well, Sheffield United is a give me 3." They made it tough for us with the Cottage, as they did up in Yorkshire. West Brom have given us trouble. Brighton and Hove Albion were near the bottom for the longest time, but we've got lots of quality. Burnley, the same sort of stuff as well. The one team that really, really is struggling down there is Newcastle. But even if you're playing Newcastle, I wouldn't think, we're going to go down there and stuff them 3-4-0.
Yeah,
it's. I think, to me, that's born out of abject arrogance, because any team can beat any, unless you're City, of course. All the games tend to be competitive. There've been lots of really, really results. And, as I said, if Villa fans need reminding, what money would you have gone that North Macedonia would go to Germany and beat them 1-0? I mean, it's or 2-1. It's an even more remarkable result than you want to know. The Massis were part of Yugoslavia for many, many years.
Yep.
They're only a recently created country. Look at Luxembourg going to the Aviva and beating Republic of Ireland 1-0.
Yeah.
I mean, it's World War VII over there in the Republic. They're going, it's the worst result in our history.
Right.
Well, if you take teams lightly and you just snuff your nose out, especially if you've beaten them early in the season, you're going to get a shocker. And we are a different team, and we're going to roll our sleeves up. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty about the Grealish thing, because it seemed to me like Dean Smith was flip-flopping in the press conference yesterday.
Yep.
The problem that Grealish has is he had a shin injury. And shin injuries, I mean, is it a true shin injury? Is it a bone bruise, which can be worse? The problem is going to be he's fit, but he's not match fit. He's not had any game time. You know that we're going to try and target that. I'd be shocked if they start Grealish tomorrow.
Okay.
And there's something in that, what he said in the presser yesterday, which made me think he may not even get in time, because they're still not sure. And we don't know.
Well, they know that they have to manage him somewhat. And I'm reading between the lines. It's interesting, Giannis, you bring this up. I guess we'll only really know an hour before the match, but talking about Grealish is fascinating, because they have not been the same team without him. But here's the point that I want to ask you about Grealish, because when Grealish is Grealish, he's phenomenal. You and I have talked about this. Yeah. I don't like some of his theatrics at all. I don't like that, but I can't deny the talent that Jack Grealish gives them. But also, in a way, the way he plays, the way Villa play with him, I think actually suit how Fulham play right now. When I look at, it's funny because, again, if you did not know this, hey, Fulham have beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Everton. Why can't they go to Villa Park and beat Aston Villa? That's my point. And I think Grealish, again, returning, and I was looking at some stats that were interesting, Giannis, and I'm going to share them with you, because, again, I think that they also go to the fact that Grealish could be returning, and if he doesn't, we'll see. But, possession numbers, Fulham and Aston Villa, I believe, and again, I wrote it down, and of course I'm doing a Goldman, and I thought I would, okay. So I'm going to share this with you. Possession in the league, this is according to WhoScored.com. Fulham are 11th. Aston Villa are 12th, Giannis. Passing percentage. Fulham are 11th. Aston Villa are 14th. So when I look at some of these numbers and I'm thinking, okay, so possession-wise, we're similar. And I think that actually suits Fulham with or without Grealish. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. And we've got to use the momentum we had going into the Leeds game, and that break, and the fact that players went off to the international camp to rewind and also to reboot. And I think that it helps us that our game is on Sunday.
Yep.
I think Scotty's had a few days to get him ready and say, okay, look, this is what we need to. We can't worry about Grealish. We looked. No, I mean, we know he's that. I mean, we know he's that good, but he's not going to be match fit. So I think they'd be stupid to risk him. Bring him off the bench for sure.
Okay.
They've got some quality in there, but it's how do you play with the psyche of players? I mean, a lot of them will probably go, we played him earlier this season. This will be easy pickings. because it really wasn't close. It was just, But I think that it's going to be. They do have to manage him, and don't forget Gareth Southgate has probably picked up a phone and said to Dean Smith, "Look, I know you're doing what you're doing to do what you do, but I'm going to need him for the Euros. We don't have World Cup qualifiers till June, but he's going to be an integral part of us having a chance to win to compete in the Euros this year. And please manage his time accordingly." And I think when you've got a talent like that, you've got to. He's to me, he's the best England player I've seen since Paul Gascoigne.
I remember you said that. Yeah. That's why, this is huge praise for you to talk about Grealish this way. And I understand that. And that's why, it's funny because I really thought about Grealish and I've watched a lot of him and he really is that talented. He really is. And, but then when I was thinking about this upcoming match, I'm glad that you brought up the point of not being match fit. I think that's a factor. And I also think it's a factor in how Aston Villa play. And I also think, and again, how Fulham play on the road away from Craven Cottage. I think Fulham are a different side. And if Grealish plays, I don't think it's, a bad thing for Fulham. He's a good player, but I think, I don't think it affects how Fulham are going to play in this match one way or another. If he doesn't play, okay. If he does play, I think Fulham are going to be ready to play against this opponent. I think they actually match up well against Aston Villa. So that's going to lead me to ask you this, Giannis, because we always talk about how does Fulham win this match, but I also want to look at how does Aston Villa win this match? What do they have to do to get all 3 points at Villa Park? Then we'll focus on Fulham again.
Go to the wrong football ground. No. How do they win? Not be complacent. I think Villa do have a lot of weapons, but a lot of it is the psyche. Again, coming back from that international break, and they'll go, right, we got now. Fulham. 3-0.
And they haven't been playing well. Let's be honest.
No, they haven't, and we all know why. So they've got players that worry me for sure, but I think they will try and feed off the defeat that we had against Leeds, but instead of saying that, this is the beauty again of the international break. Coaches will often moan about it. They hate it. Publicly, they'll say that, but privately, a lot of them go, "Oh, thank God!" It's a bit of a breather. It's not, no games for 14, 15 days. I can cancel a couple of practices. I can do more chit chats with the players, see where they're at. Do more testing, fitness testing, all that sort of stuff. It's not a bad thing. I think it's a reboot for the coaches, and I think that Villa can't take us lightly. I think if they do, then they're going to come a cropper. I really do believe that.
I totally agree. Yeah. It's okay. Let's flip it. Let's focus more on Fulham before I get how Fulham can win this match. Key players against Aston Villa for Fulham.
It's tempting to say Mitro because it's tempting to say Mitro. I think if Mitro plays in the same vein he did in the international break, we found our little champion there. I just think we have to. I really need to see a big performance from Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
I was just thinking Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah,
I think he's going to start. I think he could be very important in this match if he plays. If he starts,
we do need him to start. Position and Bobby De Cordova-Reid I think is going to be key as well. Because we've missed him.
It's crazy to say that, but I know you're right. We haven't been the same without him, and you would think, well, why would Fulham suffer without Bobby De Cordova-Reid? But he's been an integral part to how Fulham play. He's just a team player. He just does his job, as I would say over here with my team, the New England Patriots. He just does his job. All right, Giannis, let's get right to it. How do Fulham win this match?
Kick 7 bells out of Grealish.
I knew you were going there.
I think we just play our normal game. I think we play our slow but steady build up, keep possession, make sure that we're better. We do have much better defensive shape than we did in the first game,
Yep.
and maintain that. Get a foothold in the game, which we didn't do back at the Cottage.
That's right.
And then and just let our pattern of play dictate, and see if we can, put away whatever chances that we have. I think we can create chances against this lot. I think Villa are a very different side without Grealish.
Yep.
And I think if we play in the style that we can, I believe we can win.
Okay, excellent, Giannis. All right, let's go for your starting 11 for this match, and also formation. What would you do if you were Scott?
I think I go 4-4-2, but I'm probably going to flip flop like a jellyfish.
Okay.
Now to kick off. Tati and Aina.
Okay.
Tosin and Freddie.
Yep.
Harrison.
Here's the interesting one. Who's going to be with Harrison Reed? I
put Mario up in front of Harrison.
Okay.
And I also play. Where else do I go? I go Mario with Ruben.
Yep. Then it gets interesting.
Then I go maybe I'd flip it to 4-3-3. So I put Mitro in the middle.
Okay.
I could do a Reed on the right. And I am very tempted to play Joe Bryan.
Really?
Yes, I am. And just because if you look at, if Scotty decides he's going to play it brave and go, okay, we've got to play off the energy of the way Mitro's could run through buildings now. Okay. We need somebody who can get the crosses over. And
so wait a minute. So just so I understand, so you're going 4-3-3. So you're going
4-3-3, yeah.
So you're going Harrison Reed, Mario Lemina. Are you going Ruben Loftus-Cheek? You're not going Ruben Loftus. What?
Yes.
Okay. And then so the three up front are going to be Mitro in the middle. Did you say Joe Bryan on the left? And Bobby Decordova-Reid on the right?
Yep.
Wow. So you're going to leave Lookman out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's a huge call, but I'll tell you what.
That is a huge call.
This is my thinking here. Lookman works very hard. I don't think there's any question about that. The commitment's there. But to me, he doesn't. When I watch him, I see lots of shades of Raheem Sterling, and not necessarily the good kind. Sterling is.
I think I understand where you're going on.
Yeah, he's lots of skill, lots of speed, but ultimately you're up there to be a striker, but you're also there to create chances and create goals. And I think sometimes his decision making is lacking. Now he's had 2 weeks to work on the training ground.
Yep.
It's a gamble, and of course people are going to say that I'm absolutely loopy-loo, and they're entitled to call me loopy-loo. But Joe Bryan, I just got this gut feeling. This is the sort of game where if you just say, okay, JB, go up there, have some fun, get the crosses in for big boys.
We need the crosses, Giannis. We desperately need those crosses in the box.
Having said that, Scotty probably won't listen to me. He'll probably put Lookman on the left. But I would. But this goes back to being the brave thing. I think it's a decision. You could say, well, that's a really risky. But is it risky? It's not like I'm saying I'm bringing Tim Ream in for Freddie Anderson, right? It's not a risk. Is it going to cost me goals? No, it's not going to cost me goals.
No, it's not. It's not going to affect you defensively. It's actually going to increase the opportunities in a way to get crosses in the box if you did that.
That's right.
So I understand. I understand where you're going on it. It's like I said, it's a brave decision, and it's funny because I'm glad that you mentioned this. He talks about a lot, talking about Parker about being brave, and you've already said this. Maybe Scott Parker needs to be brave as well. And that's not a bad criticism. It's just he talks a lot about it. Sometimes maybe the manager needs to be brave as well.
Maybe we could. Maybe Scotty can call Brentford and see if we can get Marcondes in. No, maybe not. I just thought I'd put the Marcondes. No,
I understand. I understand what you meant, my friend. Great stuff. Great show, my friend. We do have to wrap it up with predictions, and if you're watching live, you want to share your prediction, please feel free to. Giannis, you said you were feeling confident, so give me your prediction here. What's your prediction for the match on Sunday?
1-0 Fulham.
Giannis, I'm going right there with you. I said to myself, I'm going to predict 1-0. And I think Fulham are going to keep a clean sheet. I think they're going to score. And I think this is going to add to beating Liverpool on the road, beating Everton on the road. So I'm going to predict a Fulham victory. And this goes back to the beginning of the show. Fulham proved me wrong. It's a different type of team. So this kind of doesn't fall into that category. But I think if they beat Aston Villa, they are on the path. I want Fulham to prove me wrong. They need to beat Aston Villa to get on that path to Fulham doing that. So I'm saying 1-0 to Fulham. I see it. I see this as a team Fulham can win. All right, here are the predictions. Boy, they're coming in here, my friend. Brian Lake has a draw. Steve Lydiard, 2-1. Well, Steve, I like it. Okay. Let's see. Ralph Leach has a 2-2. I understand that too. Let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. Oh, have to mention this. This is for Steve. And Steve, I'm very sorry about your loss, and I do want Fulham to win for your grandmother. Yeah, definitely want that victory. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Ronnie Mellon has 1-1. Oh, this is a Giannis Shania special, 0-0. I can't handle that.
I know.
All right, good stuff, my friend. Before we go, final thoughts.
Great show. Looking forward. It's been an incredible international break with some incredible results, and it's been. I look at the fact that Erling Braut Haaland, the Norwegian striker, the 20-year-old.
Yep.
Today, his reps are going to see Real Madrid and Barcelona, and then this weekend they're going to see Chelsea, Man City, Man United, and Liverpool. And look at little old us. The amount of money that is being skewered and thrown around is.
I've seen it.
It's obscene. It's obscene. But I'm looking forward to this. This should be good. Newcastle have to play the Spuds, and with Almiron making all those comments in the break about I wish I could play for a team that fought. That huge survey that went out in Newcastle, 95% of fans wanted Steve Bruce turfed.
Yeah,
they are a dysfunctional wreck of a team right now.
Well, they're there for the taking. Let's just say this.
Oh, God,
they are there, and I know Callum Wilson's returning, and they have other players significant players are going to return, but that's a toxic situation right now. So Fulham have an opportunity here. Like I said, and I'll keep saying I want them to prove me wrong from the last show. Please prove me wrong. Because Newcastle are there for the taking, Giannis. They really are. That would be my final thoughts on this show is that there's an opportunity here because, again, I know I was extremely negative and some fans have actually contacted me. They're shocked that I was that negative. It just goes to the issue of the pressing, Giannis. That's where I was coming off of. It really was, why can they not beat a team that presses? And that was my whole reasoning for coming out so strong with that, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong. I really would. But Aston Villa is not one of these teams. Aston Villa is not, but again, it's an opportunity, and I'm glad that you brought this up. Why can't they go to Villa Park and win this match? They certainly can. They absolutely can. Anyways, my friend, thank you so much for doing this show with me. I hope you enjoyed it.
I certainly did, sir. Let's see if we can get 3 points on Sunday.
Let's hope so. And I do want to mention this because I've been really trying to get people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do, because, it's funny. The last episode, the one where I complained and all that, we had a huge amount of people watching it on YouTube. But the majority of them, Giannis, as I found out, were Leeds United supporters. I want Fulham supporters to follow us on YouTube. And one of the ways that happens is if you subscribe to our channel. So please do subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Really would appreciate that. Anyways, let's wrap this up. For Giannis Shanaeus, I'm Russ Coleman. Thank you as always for watching, and listening to Cottage Talk.